After college, for several years, my friends and I would get together the day before Thanksgiving. We would eat food, play games, and get super drunk. Maybe you've heard of this tradition. We referred to it fondly as Friendsgiving, and when I was about 25, we celebrated our final one together as a group, and let's just say it was one to remember. 2 friends of ours had bought property out in Deer Park, Washington, a couple of months before the holidays, and they invited us to celebrate Friendsgiving out there as a sort of housewarming party, too. We all lived in Eastern Washington at the time, so we opted to just carpool there, 4 of us in one car. It should have been a quick trip, one that we were even somewhat familiar with to a certain point. It was a Tuesday night, and the final road to our friend's house was a long stretch of nothingness. As we started getting closer to what we thought was our destination, we were suddenly aware that we were being followed. I think it was my friend who was driving, Blake, who noticed first and then called it to the attention of the rest of the car. The music was turned down, and suddenly we were all looking out the back window. It wasn't just that there was a car following us on this seemingly desolate road. It was how close they were following us. I remember audibly gasping at that realization, and my friend Summer did the same as we instinctively grabbed each other's hands. The headlights were almost blinding as Blake asked us, "Can you see the driver? What's up?" I hear my friend in the front seat echo his question. I focused, trying to see anything but the blinding headlights. It seemed as though we should be able to make out the driver, but from this angle he resembled nothing more than a large dark silhouette. I was taken aback by the headlights once again. They were so unusual, and I recall thinking that I'd never seen headlights quite like that. But I realized I sure had, on really old cars. They were perfectly round and slightly raised from the car itself. Just as I thought I'd state these facts out loud, it got even closer. "You just need to let them pass. Pull over or speed up," Summer ordered Blake from the back seat next to me. Pretty soon, Blake was having to drive so fast to avoid the car tailing us that he couldn't safely pull off the road. I could see the car clearly now. It was a very old antique-style car. I don't know enough about cars to do much, but I know enough to know that that car was a classic. Who drives a classic car so recklessly? I remember asking out loud. No answer from within. By now, the car became filled with fear and angst. Finally, Blake made the split decision to pull off on a gravel shoulder, which was practically non-existent. The car was still right on our ass as we pulled off. Summer and I were screaming as we realized they were the closest they'd been to our car yet, and we could see that there were multiple silhouettes in the car. We immediately felt a jolt as the car hit our back end. Blake struggled for a moment to regain control of his car. We weren't headed for a cliff or anything, but it was pitch black out there, and we knew that we were surrounded by giant trees. As the car spun, my eyes spun in the direction of the other car. Looking from each window of the car, I could still see the antique vehicle, until suddenly it disappeared. I don't mean that it sped off or anything like that. I mean that we watched it disappear. As he pulled off to the side, we confirmed there was nothing there. It didn't follow us, it didn't pass us or keep driving. It completely disappeared off the road, and there was no explaining where the car had gone. "Where the hell did they go?" Blake asked his passengers, and no one said a thing. I believe we were all in shock, but still, looking at the road behind us, expecting to see something. After a few moments, Blake gets out of the car and looks for any sort of damage to his car. When he got back in, he told us there was no damage, not even a scratch on his car. Still, we were all sure that we had seen someone, a car, following us. Not only that, but we all felt the jolt from the impact. Yet we also agreed that we'd seen something disappear right before our eyes. Either way, Blake started driving back into the road and continued to follow the GPS to our friend's house. We were all sorts of quiet, not sure what to say or think about what had just happened. When we got to our friend's house, we told them about the experience. Them not having been in the car with us, I guess it was just hard for them to believe. I asked them, did any other cars drive down this road, especially in the last 10 minutes? No. They were the only occupied property along this road. The rest was either undeveloped or protected land. So, what the hell did we experience? Nothing, and I mean nothing, will ever be more eventful than the Thanksgiving I had in 2005. I was meeting my boyfriend's family for the first time. They were hosting us along with his sister and her boyfriend. Okay, names. My boyfriend at the time was named Arden, his sister's name was Valina, and her man was Cole. When we got to the house, it was midday, and we were the first ones to arrive. It gave me a chance to get to know his mom and dad and have their undivided attention focused on us. Both parents sat on a long couch across from us. There was a big window behind them overlooking their front deck. To the right, on the same wall as the window, is the front door. Arden and I both sat on recliners facing the parents in this big window. After talking with his parents for a while, I noticed a woman with dark, straight hair walk past the window. Her clothes were dark and plain. She could have had on a black sweater with how the sleeves went past her fingertips. She walks left to right past the window. I assume the side profile that I'd seen was Arden's sister, Valina, going to the front door. Their door has a large oval, slightly fogged glass panel. It's head level, just enough for me to see her face pressed against the glass. The oval window's light becomes blocked, filled with a truly ghastly grin. Her eyebrows were raised. I could see her prominent features, but the details of her face were too distorted by the fog aesthetic printed on the glass. A few moments go by and she hasn't opened the door. Doing my best to be polite and listen to Arden's mom tell me stories about him, I keep shooting glances over, trying to figure out if she needs help with the door or if she was waiting for her boyfriend before coming in. The face that she was making in the window was really giving me the creeps, so I kept my glances to a minimum. But the front door never opened, and nobody else walked across the deck to join her. I sneak another quick look at the front door, and I see a dirty black handprint smeared down the center panel where the face was. There's no longer anything visibly blocking the oval, and lights are once again glowing through the fogged glass. Nobody acknowledged the woman at the door, and she never came in. She also never left the deck, as there was only one way down onto the driveway from the porch, which involved passing by the living room window. And I can confidently say that I did not see the woman walk back across, as I was directly facing it. The large window stretched at couch length. I couldn't have missed it. But hours would go by without anyone new entering the house, enough time that I'd eventually forget about the woman, until we'd all hear footsteps on the 2 wooden steps leading up to the porch. Then, passing by the window was a teen with blue hair, styled in bright clothing picked straight from a Hot Topic bargain bin, followed in tow by a boy her age in the same fashion named Cole. I didn't know Valina was so much younger than Arden. The kids were nice, and I ate too many plates when dinner finally came. No idea who or what I saw that day outside the window, but it sure wasn't Arden's sister.